Imagine purchasing a heat pump on the advice of a retailer and it ends up failing to heat the house and never works properly in summer. What would you do in this situation? In this presentation, we'll be breaking down the Consumers Guarantees Act. The Consumers Guarantees Act applies to any consumers that purchase goods and services for personal, domestic, or household use. These goods include anything from furniture, food, vehicles, to any other goods that we use in our daily life. Things such as gas, electricity, and water are also covered by the Consumers Guarantees Act. Services include any work done by tradespeople such as painters, repair services, and any other types of services that you pay for. However, for business as consumers, there are a few goods and services that are not applied to the Consumers Guarantees Act. Firstly, it is not applied when the goods and services are resupplied in trade. Also, when it is consumed in the course of production or manufacture, it is not covered. Lastly, if they are used to repair other goods or fixtures on land, they are not covered as well. Now let's define what a consumer is. A consumer could be from any person to even a business. It is quoted that a consumer is someone who acquires from a supplier goods or services of a kind ordinarily acquired for personal, domestic, or household use or consumption. Therefore, as a consumer, you may be covered by the Consumers Guarantees Act when you buy any types of consumer products and you either find that they do not work properly or they are below the circumstances of general expectations. In these cases, as a consumer, you will be protected by the Consumers Guarantees Act, which allows you to seek repairs, replacements, or refunds when goods are faulty. Now let's move on to Hayden.
Thank you very much for explaining that, Simon. Now we're going to go through what guarantees are given to the consumer. It is very important to note that for the Consumer Guarantees Act, it is not you cannot opt out of it unless it's a business transaction. So that's one guarantee that's already given to any Joe average consumer. Also, all the products must be fit for its purpose, for its intended purpose. Sorry, it must be free of minor defects, and it must be safe and durable for an expected life. For an example, if a laptop were to break within the first year, it would not be considered safe and or durable. However, if it broke down after 7, 8, 9 years, then we can say no, the CGA would not cover such a thing. The CGA provides a myriad of options for the consumer under the Consumer Guarantees Act. The first one is a full refund of the sale price. So, for example, if something were to break down and you are not satisfied with the product, the manufacturer then would have to give you a full refund. They might also give you a credit note for the shop of the same value, or if you want, they could also repair the product. However, when they do repair the product and you are still not satisfied with it, you can still ask for a refund on it. Opting out of the CGA is the trickier part. To opt out, the first thing is that it needs to be a business-to-business transaction. So it can't be let's say, Harvey Norman selling to myself. It has to be Harvey Norman selling to Noel Leeming, for example. And if you have opted out of the CGA, you have to have 3 key elements. The first is a signed agreement that says that the CGA doesn't apply anymore. The second is that both parties must actually physically be in trade. It can't be just for one-off purchases. It has to be for the entirety of its lifetime. And the third is the terms should be fair and reasonable as well.
Now let's move on to the practical consequences of the CGA for business practices. There are some things that the business must do when offering products. Firstly, it should be of acceptable quality. It should also fit for purpose, match the description given, and match any samples or demonstrations given. It should also be sold at a reasonable price if a price wasn't agreed beforehand. You must also make sure that deliveries arrive at the agreed time and in acceptable condition. You also should have spare parts available and a way to offer repairs. This might be through an arrangement with the manufacturer or a trusted repairer. If spare parts and repairs aren't available, you should tell the customer before finalizing the sale.